So we started Orangutan back in May 2021.
India mein the boom still hasn't come, and we wanted to ride that wave when esports would be big and we would be one of the biggest players in India. So that was the goal behind starting an esports organization, and I didn't have a name back then in terms of Orangutan, but everything else was pretty much clear on the teams we wanted to make, what games we wanted to enter into.
You know, the love for sports that I had is something I wanted to do with Orangutan. We will not continue with this roster. There was no real esports happening.
ऐसा होता है कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. They had no numbers, they had no achievements. कुछ करो पहले उसके बाद. You know, all these players are dead players, and it always felt that they're playing for themselves. We don't want to keep players who don't want to play. पूरी शिद्दत से हमने मेहनत की थी उनके पीछे. This is business and you have to take tough calls at tough times. I'm not going to continue anymore. I'm Yash Vanashali. I'm the founder at Orangutan.
Hi, I'm Jay Shah, co-founder of Orangutan Gaming.
And yeah, that's my introduction. Every esports org in India, when they start, are 4 players, 1 manager, come driver, come chef, come kamwala, and 1 owner who's paying their bills. Ever since we started, we never wanted to be a one-team organization. I always thought that organizations are made by the team who's working behind the scenes, and the organization is seen by the players you develop.
We started planning the launch of Orangutan with the time PUBG will come back. Just then, PUBG Mobile was going to be rebranded as BGMI and relaunched in June of 2021.
BGMI was always priority number 1, and then FreeFire, and then Valorant. Valorant came in a lot later, but Counter-Strike was the one I wanted as my dream project.
And that is when we recruited our first roster. So we had Ash and Believe, who were the first 2 players, along with Vades, who's our coach.
At that time, people used to say that all these players are dead players, and then I never believed that someone could become dead when they are 23, because I have been 23 myself, and many people have told me that you won't be able to do anything, and eventually things fall in place. So in everyone's life, it's the same, that you give them a chance, you give them confidence, you back them, and they will come good. You just have to wait, and sometimes people can't wait enough, and then when the players are at their peak, they are representing another organization.
This roster was handpicked, which means it wasn't a roster which was already playing as a team, but it was a roster that we kind of custom made in June.
Once we started, we understood that it is not what it is, and how it looks like from the outside is much more complicated, much more deep. Yeah, we wanted to come in all guns blazing, so we decided to sign a Free Fire lineup as well.
To our surprise, to be very honest, we were not expecting the team to sign with us, because they've gone on record and said that we'll never be signed with any other organization.
With the kind of facilities we had and the kind of vision we had as an organization, that's what they were inclined towards, and they really trusted me and Jai to take care of them well.
They were called Team Elite back then, and they were a team for almost a year, and they had been one of the best teams within the circuit.
They got us our first official trophy in Free Fire as soon as we signed them within 2 months.
We had just won FFIC. Our team was the India champions. They went on to play the Asia Championship, ranked 8th over there.
Which was great validation for us that we have picked the right team. And there were a lot of problems, but I think in sport there will always be disagreements and problems and fights, because if you don't have that passion, you are never going to fight, and if you fight, that means that you are passionate enough to win.
In Jan-Feb of 2022 is when Free Fire as a game got banned.
बैन किए गए एप्स में मशहूर गेम गैरिना फ्री फायर भी शामिल है.
Free Fire is one of our highest revenue generating lineups ever since we have started Orangutan. So yeah, that was a big hit, but
we expected the game to come back maybe in a couple of months, and that's why we kind of backed our team.
But we never thought it would be 2 years and the game would still be banned. So basically, when the game gets banned, the players are in a state of mental shock. The org is in a state of revenue shock because the org's revenues plummet down because price pools go down, brand deals go down, streaming deals go down, and overall it affects the whole industry because the game developer sits at the top of the pyramid, and when the game gets banned, the whole ecosystem shatters.
So we always wanted to be in a PC game. Valorant at that point was the game which was booming.
So when we started, we had seen a lot of organizations having two teams in India and abroad as well in different games.
We at Orangutan wanted to, have a PC roster, have that representation in PC game.
To getting into women's Valorant, the vision was very simple that by building a women's team, it is the closest way for us to play an international world championship.
So after FreeFire got banned, at least the work at Orangutan continued because we had two rosters at that time which were active, which was Valorant and BGMI. I think starting April 2022, we started signing brands left, right and center. We were the only esports organization at that point who was actually leading the way to sign brands and make money through sponsorships and brand deals. BGMI Masters Series took place in June 2022, and this was the first time any esport tournament was being telecasted live on Star Sports and on national television. So it was a very, very big deal for us as an organization because our team was one of the top teams participating over there. Just when BGMI and Esports was at an all-time high for the industry, BGMI got banned in July 22.
भारत सरकार के आदेश पर गूगल प्ले स्टोर और एप्पल स्टोर से BGMI नाम की मोबाइल ऐप को हटा दिया गया.
That is when we had two of the biggest games in the country banned.
If you can survive through the tough times, when the peak comes, you'll always grow. So it is a tough time for not only the players but also for coaches, analysts, managers, organizations, everyone. And everyone loses money or loses their fixed income which they had before when the game was there.
It was like your stock market goes up and it crashes badly. It's exactly what happened to the industry when BGMI got banned. The vision with our women's Valorant roster was very simple. We wanted to support the women's scene in esports.
So that was the goal from day one. It was very clear that we are not doing this to generate ROI. We are doing this so that this could be one of our selling points to the people we talk to, that we are the only organization to have ever done that from India. ROI was never the goal. The goal was to be the first organization from India to go for a PC gaming world championship.
We at that point did everything that we needed to win and to make sure that there are no reasons or no excuses that the players or anyone would give that we couldn't do our best at that point.
So we had to find a common place, and we thought Singapore was the best because they had the servers there. So if you want to do the impossible, you can't do things which everyone else is doing and expect to do the impossible. If you want to do the impossible, you have to go above and beyond. And that is what we did. If anyone else would have been given an option to spend that much money, I don't think they would have done that because it would not make financial sense to send them for 3 trips to Singapore and spend like 20 lakhs per trip, 60, 70, 80 lakhs in total, even more to be honest. If you want to win, we had to go above and beyond. Considering it was the first time we finished 4th in Asia, I think it was a great achievement.
We were happy with the team's performance. The hope and the belief was that if they came 4th in this season, the next season, if we continue to invest in them, they can, emerge champions and take us to the world stage. I think the ban phase, FreeFire hadn't come back. BGMI was banned. Valorant, we had just let go of our first roster because of, again, the teams not being able to work as a unit.
It's all part of business. You don't think about it as कि यार ये मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हो गया.
There was no real esports happening. We had long-term deals signed with brands who were yet paying us month on month.
I came in, the game got banned because all these things teach you a lot, and those 8 months when both the games were banned, it taught us a lot about what can we do, how can we diversify. We tried different things like content creation, got in creators, did not work because it was not well planned or it was not our vibe.
And I think that perseverance that we showed during those 6-7 months, we made a lot of mistakes.
We had to sail through it because if you either you shut down or you sail through it, and we doubled down in the next year to make sure that we go all out and we go on to win.
The next season of Game Changers was going to start in March of 23.
We made a pretty strong lineup. So we kept the same core. We kept Japibs, we kept Casper, and we kept Gunnar. That is when I think Emmy, Eruma, and Worley came in. I feel those roster changes at the wrong time after finishing second and one of the biggest achievements we have had in Valorant female.
The whole roster throughout the season was very shaky. There were lots of internal changes that kept happening after each open.
Doing roster changes was not something which I wanted, but it was out of our hands because we don't want to keep players who don't want to play. All of Elite was this year, except Split 1, was not up to the mark.
The amount of effort that we put in and them taking us for granted or trying to make the changes which is not leading up to anything.
The team motivation got down, their mentality got down, they weren't practicing enough. And all those things were one of the decision making factors for us to not continue with our women's lineup anymore.
After Open 4 is when we realized that if this team doesn't go on to win Elite, which we had hopes for, we will not continue with this roster.
Esports is not a money-making business, and especially women's esports is not at all. And if the players don't understand that, they will never understand what a org goes through. They always say things from their own perspective. They don't see both sides of the coin. I just wanted to show them our side of the coin as well, that it is not as easy as they think it is, because when you're not generating any revenue from them, it is not because our ability to monetize wasn't there. It is because they had no numbers, they had no achievements, they did not stream, they barely were active on social media, they did not have their own community, the game numbers weren't great, the watching was 100, 200, 300, finals would be 1,000, out of which 800 were Indians, 200 would be people in all of Asia watching. So all those things were a big concern for us, but we never put these concerns on them. We always made sure the pressure would be on us. I think they did not have the ability to adjust in different environments. That is what did not make them win. That is what made all the controversy happen, because we have had 40-50 plus athletes stay in our bootcamp, and we consider our space as the best in India. If you can't find it comfortable here, I don't think you are going to be comfortable anywhere else, because I don't think any esports organization has spent as much money to make sure that the facilities are top notch, the equipment given to them is top notch, the back-end team working with them is top notch.
It's not just us. You speak to any organization, any international player that was, I think at that point during VCLSA, there were approx 20 to 30 international esports athletes living in India, having the same Indian food. I'm sure people would have had their problems, but there was a point where they figured out what they like.
कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती, मतलब जब कुछ गलत होता है तो दोनों साइड से गलत होता है, तभी that thing happens. In the very first year, they weren't fighting for us, they weren't giving me the vibe that they are playing for the organization. It always felt that they are playing for themselves. All they cared about was the money coming on time or them getting the best facilities, but it was never that they were fighting for us when we wanted them to fight.
I feel after everything that we've done for the roster, if that is the tweet that it came to, as an owner, as someone who's been investing so much into the scene, it feels pointless. It all comes down to zero.
So during split 2, split 3, open 2, open 3, I understood that this team is not going to last, and I think that is when I had made my decision, and I kind of took a step back from the team, and I understood that I'm not going to continue anymore, and if I'm going to continue, it is not going to be with this team or this set of players.
So when Riot announced the Challengers League and VCLSA happening in India, a LAN tournament, everyone was very excited. We built one of the best rosters that we could in India. We made sure that we are investing all our resources into making Valorant, helping Valorant and Riot to make sure that this league is successful in India. Surprisingly, this 90% decline in the viewership kind of made us realize that Valorant esports in India is not growing. That is where the business side of things started shaking up for us, and we were not being able to recover the money that we were investing in Valor. I think the journey for VCLSA was dreamy for us.
I always wanted this team, and finally when I got them, we won together, we went to Ascension, we fucked up.
And that's where we realized that we probably might be India champions, but there's a long way ahead for us to go and win Ascension. And that's when we started rebuilding our roster.
We were trying to sign a very high profile player and complete the whole roster. And even after being India champions, or even before being India champions, we were the only one who could monetize them in some way or another. But it wasn't enough because the spend was too much. And I don't blame the players. We were the ones who gave them that money because we felt they were worth it and we felt they would take us to Pacific.
Sustaining a winning team is much more difficult than just running a normal team.
I think this is the only decision which I've taken which I regret, because except this decision until now, whatever decisions we have taken in Orangutan have all been things which either I wanted to do or Jai wanted to do or collectively both of us wanted to do. But the Valo men's decision was a big dagger to, I think, not only my heart but everyone in the organization's heart, because the amount of effort we had put in, मतलब ऐसा पूरी शिद्दत से हमने मेहनत की थी उनके पीछे. I saw Reckoning doing a reel about us. After winning nothing ever, they want to troll us, which is not really respected by me, because कुछ करो पहले उसके बाद बोलो. And I don't think they have enough accolades themselves to troll any other organization. People always said we overinflated the market, we paid players more. I have only one thing to say, that I paid players what they were worth. This is business and you have to take tough calls at tough times. Things you don't want to do, you might have to stop. But yeah, this was the toughest moment ever since we started Orangutan. And it is not a goodbye from Valorant. Maybe it is for this year.
So for everyone who is asking us what's happening at Orangutan, I think we are here to stay. We are going to focus on 2 games for now, for the next 6-7 months, which is BGMI and FreeFire.
Diversify from only esports to being a gaming marketing agency, getting into content creation, getting into time management, getting our apparel vertical up and running. I think difficult situations teach you difficult things, and they teach you to be more strong mentally and in business. So business is filled with ups and downs. You can never predict what's going to happen in the future, and that is what makes sport so interesting. That is what makes running a business so interesting. So yeah, keep supporting the Ape Army, and thank you for whatever you guys have done over the past 2 years. I always feel that fans are what keep us going, and we have a few, but the few fans we have, they are very loyal to us, and I see that love on Instagram, I see that love on Twitter. So thank you for supporting us, and keep supporting our players, and yeah, we'll win a lot of trophies for you. If not in Valorant, in BGMI and FreeFire 100%.